She's right over on the stage to the left-hand side of the show. Hurry on up and get your chair.
All right, we got our chairs. So anyway, the point is, it's like 6 years. It's been a big change since then. We did 117 episodes of Kitchen Crashers, and it was a wild ride. So the new show is called Windy City Flip. I don't know if anybody caught the pilot, but it aired in July, got picked up. So currently filming season 1 for that, and totally different concept, but you're really focusing on the same rooms, right? Because what? The kitchen is the hub of the home. It's the most important space in the house, and it really is where everybody hangs out. So whether you cook or don't cook, entertain, don't entertain, whatever, you're always in the kitchen. So Kitchen Crushers was a really great start for me, and the concept was a really fun one for you guys because it was just as fast as you can imagine. So I'll tell you some design secrets, but I'm also going to tell you show secrets. And this really applies to all the Crashers. So the way I started off was I got a random email. About 400 designers in Chicago got the same email. And it was just like, who wants to do a design show on HGTV? And I responded, or it was like, oh, I have to sneeze, but I don't. Okay, that was a fake out. All right. Anyway, so it just said, does anyone want to do a design show on HGTV? So I wrote back, absolutely. I think I wrote something different, but they replied immediately. And we started chatting. They said, we want to meet you at one of your projects and see what you do and see what your team's like, blah, blah, blah. So they show up. They said, we really love you, and you got the job. And I was like, what does that mean? They said, well, you're going to be a ghost designer on HGTV's House Crashers. Anyone see that one with Josh? So I was like, well, what's a ghost designer? Anyone know what that is? It's kind of exactly behind the scenes. So no one would see me. I really got paid in peanuts. And, you don't really get any credit. So most of the designers would probably say what? Nah, I don't want that. It's a lot of time. I don't think so. Well, I'm glad I said yes, because it ultimately ended up where I'm doing, 117 episodes. So I said yes to the job. The owner of the production company said, we want to put you on the show. We never do this, but we want to see how you do on the show. So they put me on the show, and I was a nervous wreck. I was puking for 3 days. Never had been on TV. Didn't know how I would be. And then 3 days went by pretty fast, and they said, we really would like to kind of shoot what's called a sizzle reel with you, showing me doing what I do in Las Vegas, because that's where I was at the time. So they shot all this stuff, and then they pitched me on a show called Stripped. And I was like, because I built Vegas stripping houses, blah, blah. Anyway, it sounded a little too weird to me. I said no. And then, I don't know, it was probably a couple months later, because the network had pitched it to me, so I had some contacts. And I was watching DIY, and you guys have seen all the Crashers, right? House, bath, yard. What do they have in common? They're all dudes. So I was like, I'm going to pitch to be the first female Crasher. I'm going to do kitchens. And they said yes, and they said you start filming in 2 months. So it was very fast. It was very weird. It was not what I intended to do with my life or my career, but it definitely was great because I got to showcase, who I am and what I do. And then you guys got to learn from it. So did a lot of mixed kind of, DIY projects, but then, these are kitchen overhauls. So how much do you guys think we spend on each kitchen, each episode? 50,000. Anyone else? Less? 25? 15. Okay, so $100,000. So this is not cheap stuff. It's not like we're just throwing, stuff in there and then it falls off the walls when we leave. It's real deal, like high-end stuff. And so you think about this, okay? So our contractors are doing the labor and they're doing it at a discounted price. How much do you think the labor alone is to demo and completely rebuild a kitchen in 4 days' time? $40,000. So if it's $40,000 just there, they're giving a discounted price to us, right? And now think about all those stuff you're putting into the kitchen. Cabinets, flooring, countertops, appliances, all of these tile backsplashes, lighting. So this stuff adds up. So our budget, let's say, would be $60,000 for the show, but guess what? They're getting a better value. So the people that own the kitchens, maybe Viking wanted to put their range in and we couldn't afford it, right? So the Viking range is 10 grand, we can't afford it. And the Viking says, we'll give it to you for $2. So great, we get it for $2, but what happens? The homeowner's getting this retail value of $10,000. So these things are not, this is not like a flip show. It's not a real fast kind of like everything's waiting in the garage. Another little secret is, so you guys watch me when I'm at Lowe's, right? And I go up and I mess with people and ask you guys if you have bad kitchens. Well, the very first season, I didn't know what I was doing. So all I knew was what you guys knew. I watched like Yard Crashers. I'm like, all right, I guess I just go in and run around Lowe's and scare the crap out of people and go home with them or whatever. So I go up to people, ask them about their kitchens. Every one of them was like, oh, we need to be crashed. And I believed every one of you. And what happened was I'd go home and I normally have a PowerPoint so I can show you pictures, but I'll try to paint the picture here. So I go to my first couple. It was a husband and wife, and the wife was crying, and she was like, we need you. We need to demo our kitchen and start over. And in Chicago, when you're filming, traffic is a real deal. It's the worst thing ever. I believe Chicago's the worst next to LA. So even if you're going 2 miles, it takes you an hour. So I would drive to this house, right? We would really go home with them that day. And I'd get there, and it was like an episode of Hoarders. It was like, wrong show. Like, this is not what we do. But if I cleaned out that one kitchen, the first one I went to see, it was a good kitchen. They just had too much crap on the counters and tchotchkes everywhere. And, there was no organization to anything. And so for me, it was like, okay, well, we can't do this house, so we leave. Next couple, we need you. Go there, we'd leave, because none of them were crashable. And so we tried to start being more efficient. So when you see me drive around the parking lot, and I'm like, okay, I'm coming home with you, that part? And I get in my car and I follow them around. I really just kind of drive and then park again. And then I go get the next couple that's waiting in line. And I drive around and I park again. And then at lunch, we look at everyone's pictures because we tell them, go home, send us pictures of your kitchen. And then we decide at lunch and then we go. So that way we're not wasting any time. We know the kitchens are actually bad and they're crashable. And then we can actually go home and do the job. So how much time do you think is between me finding the couple and then me going back to demo? No. A day? Wow, you might have a heart attack? No, 1 month minimum. So I have to, good job. I've got to design it. I spend a lot of time with each homeowner. Okay, they send me their Pinterest pages. They send me cutouts from magazines, pictures that are inspiring to them or whatever. So we're working very closely with these clients. And then we have to order everything. And then we have to deliver it. And we deliver everything to their garages. So it's just kind of funny, when I unwrap like cabinets, I'm like, here are your new cabinets. And they're like, what you don't get to see is they're like, oh, we already saw those, we unwrapped them. And I'm like, what? Okay, pretend like you didn't. Here we go. But we have to deliver them somewhere. We didn't have a big storage unit for 50 kitchens a year. So anyway, it was a really weird, fun experience. It was, as a designer, it was a dream because you got to see your vision come to life in a month or 2 months. And we were doing one kitchen pretty much every week. So I've learned a lot about what not to do. I've seen a lot of problems that you guys probably have and want to ask about. So we'll touch on some of them. I'm sorry I don't have my PowerPoint. They didn't send it, and they're asleep on the West Coast still, I think. But I'll be back at 2, and hopefully we'll have it. So let's just go over a couple things. I'm going to talk to you guys about stuff that's not, $100,000 kitchen flip, right? Because who can afford that? That's an incredible amount of money. So I want to teach you guys some tips and tricks on how to kind of crash your own kitchen without breaking the bank. And home shows like this are so great for you because you get to take some of the things I'm going to tell you and actually apply it to your space. And then at the end, we'll do a Q&A, but is that okay? Yeah, or ask away, and then we'll do a Q&A at the end. So do the homeowners participate financially in the flip or in the kitchen crash? Yes. So they pay taxes on it as if it was a gift. So it's like a gift tax, so whatever bracket you're in, you would pay. But let's say it was even $7,000. I'd pay $7,000 for a $100,000 kitchen, right? That's pretty good. So anyway, I'm gonna tell you guys a couple great things, and I think what's fun too is they apply to what you can actually get up and go look at and see and touch. So right, how many of you guys in your kitchens have lower cabinets that are mainly doors? All right, this is a pretty standard layout. Mainly doors and a few drawers. Everybody? Yeah, okay. Every cabinet's a drawer? Okay, cabinets. You do have the cabinet doors, right? So that's a pretty standard layout. So when I got to crash my own kitchen a couple years ago, number one, it didn't take 4 days. And I was like, come on, I'm the kitchen crasher, but nobody was budging. And I got to do what I've always dreamed of doing, which is all lower pull-out drawers. So the only doors that I ever had were under my sink. That's it. Everything else was full extension. I got to pull it out. I knew exactly what was there. You know what I mean by full extension, right? I mean, it doesn't stop halfway. You're pulling them all the way out. And so it allowed me to really organize those drawers. And my pantry, I didn't have a separate pantry. So my pantry was part of my kitchen cabinets. So I really had to organize these spaces, okay? We show this a lot on the show as well, where we would kind of compartmentalize a drawer or build something like an insert that would go in. Even if it's as simple as dropping bins in, right? And like my pantry was all bins, so if the water was low in the fridge, I could just take the bin and go to the fridge and fill it. But everything has a home. And that's the most important part about keeping yourselves happy in your own space, keeping it organized. And if it's not, I'm telling you right now, you're probably not having a real fun time in your kitchen. So not all of us can take and rip out all of our old cabinets and put in new ones, but what we can do, and what we can see here at the home shows, is cabinet companies, local cabinet companies that can come out and actually measure your lower cabinets for drawers. So that way you still keep the look of the cabinet, so it's a door, and then when you open it, you actually install lower pull-out drawers. Anybody have these? You do? It's a lifesaver. Do you have one on every one of them? All drawers. Yeah. Nice. I mean, it will change your world. Now all of a sudden you get to organize your space. Now all of a sudden all the things you didn't know you had, they get to come out, get to dust them off. I mean, you would not be surprised to hear that every single one. When I would go and crash the kitchen before I would demo, I would go, okay, do you guys want to keep this? And they're like, oh my God, that's where that is. Or that's where the cat was, or whatever. I find a lot of crap under cabinets. And so this allows you to really clean them out. Dust them off, put them in a space where you know it is, and you never question where that stuff is. So I say go and see the local cabinet companies, because oftentimes they're cheaper than going and actually buying them from, Lowe's or Home Depot. So they're going to fit your cabinet completely. So they're going to go left to right instead of a little space left over. And then what you can do too is double up. So you can do one on the bottom and then one in the middle, and now you have Tupperware or big pots and pans, but now you're really organized. The next big thing in your kitchen is, how many of you know what the perfect triangle is? Anybody know what that is? Yes, ma'am. There you go. The stove, the fridge, the sink. Stove, fridge, sink. So you've got that perfect triangle. Now, a lot of people say, oh, I've got an L-shaped kitchen. I've got two on one wall, one on the other. Does that still count? Yes, it does. Some people have an island in the way. But if you don't have that perfect triangle, I'm guessing you're not that happy in your space. Okay? Space planning is key in the kitchen. And it's all about function. It's form and function. We'll talk about that a little more, too. So, space planning. Lighting, number 2. Lighting, to me, is the most important thing when I design anything, from a restaurant to an office to, a kitchen. And lighting is great because you can control it. And I'm a control freak. So this is perfect for me. And every one of us can put a dimmer in pretty much on any light fixture in our home. We can do it. You don't have to be a licensed electrician, although there's a whole show about you guys going and doing stuff yourselves and electrocuting yourselves. You seen that one? 30 minutes of you guys just electrocuting yourselves. It's called DIY Disasters. It's hysterical. So keep doing that stuff because it's funny. But with the dimmers, you guys can actually put a dimmer on recessed cans, pendants. I've got them on floor lamps in my house. And what that allows us to do is really change the mood of the environment that we're in. So your kitchen, you've got your lights all the way up, right? And you're putting groceries away or you're prepping. And then all of a sudden you're entertaining and we're dimming the lights down, right? And you've got so many different sources of light in the kitchen. How many of you guys have under cabinet lighting? Yep. Did you install it yourselves? No? Anybody install it themselves?